The story begins with our main character. He believes that when a child turns 12, those who are chosen receive a blessing from God. It is a gift meant only for them. No pressure, of course. Just your entire future decided in one moment. The scene shifts. He stands quietly by a window, watching people move about outside. Life looks normal out there. Inside, everything feels heavy. His father speaks and tells him that today is the ceremony, the day his son will finally receive his gift. His voice carries pride as he declares that everyone is excited to witness the arrival of their next battle-ready lord. No stress again, just expectations stacked to the ceiling. The hero thinks about the world around him. He knows the royal family is losing its grip on power. With that weakness comes chaos. Lords fight over land, borders blur, and everyone wants more than they already have. As the son of a lord, he understands what people expect from him. A combat-type gift, something sharp, something powerful, something useful in war. His father calls him by name, Luke, and speaks with full confidence. He says he is certain Luke will inherit a combat-type gift. Not a doubt in his mind. Luke wishes confidence could be shared like bread. Luke begins thinking about genetics and how strongly they shape a person's gift. His thoughts drift to his mother, a skilled swordswoman known for her precision. Then he remembers his father, whose holy swordsmanship stands at an even higher level. If gifts follow blood, then his future should be obvious. He thinks about his father's fame across the land, his strength, his bravery, the bold acts he performs in battle that people still talk about. Because of that reputation, his father rose from Viscount to Marquis in a single generation. That kind of rise does not happen by luck. Luke also knows that his father expanded his domain and challenged powerful lords. That success came from his gift. Power shaped everything. His father looks at him and smiles, telling him that he is counting on him. Luke stands there, holding on to hope like it is something fragile that might slip away if he grips too hard. The scene shifts again. The time for the blessing ceremony arrives. Villagers gather close, whispering to one another. One person remarks how strange and astonishing it is that two sons are receiving their blessings. Rare events always make people talk. Another voice adds that if the concubine's son is set aside, then there is no doubt at all. Luke, the son of Master Raoul, will surely receive an extraordinary gift. Confidence seems to spread faster. The pastor raises his and silences the crowd. He turns toward Luke and announces, "Village building." Luke feels the air leave his lungs. For a moment, everything stops. The crowd freezes, then shock ripples through them as eyes widen and whispers explode. Somewhere between disbelief and Luke realizes this is real, very real. He senses movement beside him. His brother, standing close, places a hand on his shoulder and calmly tells him to step aside. Luke is in his way. The words are simple, the meaning is not. The pastor speaks again and announces that it is now Master Raoul's turn. Whispers return instantly. People murmur that after seeing what Master Luke received, they cannot even imagine what kind of gift Master Raoul will obtain. Some mention that even Raoul's mother never received. Expectations climb once again. Then the pastor declares it clearly. Master Raoul Albert's gift is holy swordsmanship. The entire village erupts. Shock turns into joy. Excitement spreads like fire. Smiles appear everywhere. Pride fills the air. Luke stands completely still. His body does not move. His thoughts do not catch up. Raoul's mother and father rush to embrace him, holding him close, treating him as though he has brought honor and meaning to their lives. Luke watches from the side, invisible. The scene shifts once more. Luke stands beside a carriage. He knows it is time to leave. He also knows no one will come to see him off. No farewell, no last words. Sometimes silence says enough. As he steps inside the carriage, Luke thinks about the ceremony. He realizes people only came because he was a lord's son and next in line, not because of him. The carriage begins to move. Luke admits to himself that he already knew this truth. Knowing it does not make it lighter. The loneliness settles in anyway. His eyes slowly close. One final thought remains clear in his mind. He is traveling north, toward the vast, uninhabited wilderness within the domain of the House of Albert. As the journey continues, Luke sits quietly and stares ahead. He thinks that everyone back in the village is probably relieved. In their eyes, a useless disappointment like him, leaving sooner rather than later, is likely the best outcome. Not exactly a warm send-off, but honesty hurts less than pretending. He then thinks about Raoul, someone aggressive, strong, and fearless. Maybe that kind of person is exactly what the village needs during times like these. Someone who does not hesitate, someone who fits the role perfectly. Luke reflects on himself. He realizes he was never the combative type. No matter how much training he went through, he never truly wanted to kill anyone. The House of Albert has always been a home of warriors, yet somehow he never belonged among them. It feels like being born into the wrong story. The carriage keeps moving forward. As drowsiness slowly creeps in, Luke wonders why this happened to him and why things had to turn out this way. Questions come easily, answers do not. As the carriage rolls on, Luke thinks about the land ahead, the vast forest to the north, the massive mountain to the east. Later, when he continues on foot, he considers both areas extremely dangerous, places where creatures likely roam freely. After a moment of thought, he decides it is best to stay far away. Survival feels like a good first goal. He remembers hearing that no one ever goes there. That alone feels like enough warning. While walking and quietly talking to himself, Luke suddenly hears his name being called. Master Luke. The voice snaps him out of his thoughts. He turns around and sees a woman standing there. It is Melia, dressed neatly in maid clothing. Melia looks around and remarks that the land is extremely barren. She does not sugarcoat it. There is not much to admire. She then speaks more firmly. She tells him not to fall into despair, adding that perhaps he is not as calm about all of this as she first thought. Her sharp eyes miss very little. Luke admits that she is right. He says there is no need to cry over spilled milk. What is done, is done. Complaining will not change the road ahead. Melia responds by saying that even in the toughest situations, he still tries to stay positive. She adds that he truly did something admirable. Luke is not sure what that is, but he appreciates the sentiment. Luke suddenly notices the horse tied to the carriage, calmly pulling it forward. Panic hits him. He turns to Melia and asks if she is truly sure she wants to stay with him. The question escapes before he can stop it. Melia looks at him, confused, and asks why he would say something like that. She reminds him that when she became his personal maid, she made a vow. No matter what happens, no matter how difficult things become, she will always serve him. She continues without hesitation. Whether hell descends or a great flood arrives, she will stay by his side. No conditions attached. Luke feels embarrassed. He looks away and thinks about how kind Melia truly is. He believes that one day, she will surely become the head maid. Anyone with that level of loyalty deserves it. Then another thought creeps in. He wonders what people are still saying about him behind his back. Old habits are hard to break. Luke thinks that Melia is probably more prepared for hardship than comfort. Realistically, this rough path is the more practical outcome anyway. Speaking quietly to himself, Luke realizes something important. Ever since receiving the gift of village building, he has never once used it. He does not know how it works. He does not know what kind of power it truly holds. He takes a deep breath and gathers his courage. He tells himself that he believes he can use this power for something good, even if he has no idea how yet. At that moment, a magical screen suddenly appears in front of him. Melia panics and immediately asks what that thing is. Inside her own thoughts, she panics even more. She wonders if her true feelings somehow showed on her face at the worst possible. Luke stares at the screen, visibly shaken. Melia watches him nervously, thinking that something is wrong. She worries that he might hate her for the expression she just made. She stands there, feeling shy, anxious, and unsure what to do. Luke apologizes and asks if she could step back a little. Blushing, Melia quickly steps back without another word. Luke realizes then that Melia cannot see the screen at all. English text appears across the screen. As he reads it, Luke understands that these letters do not belong to this world. Although he does not fully understand what this is, Luke makes a decision. He will try to build a village. He taps yes on the screen. A sudden intense light bursts forth and spreads all around them. Luke and Melia stand there in complete shock. Melia panics and blurts out that the ground has completely leveled out. One moment it was rough land, the next it looks planned. Too planned. Luke looks back at the screen. It clearly shows that this is his first village. He sees that he has received 50 village points, with 10 additional points added. The number of villages is still listed as 0. The village skill reads Facility, and below it is a list of buildings. Luke wonders if choosing one of these facilities will cause it to appear instantly. The idea feels unreal, but so does everything else right now. He then thinks about something more practical. They need a place to sleep. Starting small should be fine. Very fine. Luke uses 10 points to create a hut. In an instant, a wooden hut appears in front of them. No sound, no delay. It is just there. Melia gasps loudly. staring at it as if it might vanish. Luke smiles and says that he thinks this is his power. Saying it out loud makes it feel more real. Standing there, Luke starts doing the math. He now has 40 points left. He also realizes he can recover 10 points every day. Surprised, he turns to Milia and asks if they need another hut, or if he should build a well or a field. He says it casually, like they are discussing furniture. Milia stares at him in disbelief and asks if he can really create other things too. Still amazed, she thinks for a moment and says she would prefer a well. One hut is enough for both of them. Their priority should be water. She explains that a person can survive for a while without food, but without water, death comes quickly. Her logic is calm and terrifying. Milia grows visibly excited at the thought that she and Master Luke will live together in a tiny hut. Luke panics just a little. He quickly agrees and says she is right. A well comes first. He points ahead. A well appears instantly. Milia freezes, then grows excited all over again. They walk closer and notice the well is covered. Milia wonders out loud if the cover will come off. Luke grabs the handle and says that he recalls the wells back at the castle, old, heavy, and exhausting. This one feels easier, far more convenient than those that demanded extreme effort, brutal labor. Luke thinks that this kind of invention is something this world desperately needs. He then notices that only 10 points remain. He says he can create one more thing. Milia suggests a field. Luke agrees immediately. As he prepares to do it, a screen suddenly appears in front of him. It asks whether he wants to make Milia a villager. Luke is shocked. He wonders if this means he can turn Milia into a villager too. He explains this, saying that it seems his gift allows him to register as villager. Milia smiles softly. He can make her his... Luke smiles back. As soon as he taps yes, the number of villagers increases on the screen. He also notices something else. For every villager added, he will gain 1 extra point daily. Luke realizes that with only 1 villager, he himself is not counted. For now, he has no plans to add anyone else. Suddenly, Milia hugs Luke tightly and says it would be better if they always stay together. Luke looks at her. Milia quickly adds that they should ignore what she just said. Luke decides there is nothing more he can do today. He will have to wait until tomorrow to gain more points. The scene shifts. Inside the hut, Luke and Milia lie down. Luke stares at the sky through the window. He thinks about how he received the gift of village building. Back then, it felt like everything he hoped for had been taken from him. Now, it feels different. He begins to think this gift might actually be useful. Luke thinks about how much he hates war. To him, it is nothing but stealing land and killing people. Endless blood, endless loss. He decides that living a peaceful and pleasant life is better than remaining in a world soaked in violence. He makes up his mind. Luke believes he will use his gift to turn this barren land into a village, a place that is peaceful, relaxing, simple, and happy. This kind of life suits him. Luke falls asleep. Milia moves closer and gently sniffs him. As she does, she thinks that she cannot believe she gets to smell Master Luke like this all night. It feels like heaven to her. Luke startles slightly, feeling uncomfortable. The scene shifts. Footsteps echo as a new figure walks forward. A young woman named Chelin appears. She speaks firmly and tells her father to forgive her, because she is leaving home. Her father demands to know what she thinks she is doing. Chelin responds sharply. She asks what he expects her to say. She declares that she can no longer endure this. This is her final straw. She explains that this is the era they are forced to live in. Lords everywhere believe it is acceptable to force their children into marriages for political gain. Near or far, it makes no difference. She adds that if her future husband were Luke, she might have accepted it. But there is no chance she will ever marry a stubborn and mad man like Raoul. Her father argues back. He reminds her that Master Raoul is the successor of Lord Albert, and that she must think about their domain. Chelin refuses outright. She says she would rather die than marry such. As she turns to leave, guards block her path with spears and ask Lady Chelin to return. Chelin threatens them fiercely. If they do not move, she promises to send them to a painful afterlife. The guards panic. Chelin pushes past them and escapes. The scene shifts again. Luke and Milia are asleep. Milia clings to Luke, hugging him tightly. Luke thinks that he may need to build a separate hut soon. Milia, blushing, says that no one is perfect. Luke panics slightly and asks if she is already awake. Milia thinks quietly to herself. As the second daughter of a low-ranking noble family, she likely would never receive a blessing valuable enough to earn a great donation. Her future was limited. She had only 2 choices: Marry into another low-ranking noble family, or become a maid for a high-ranking noble. That is why she joined the Albert family. They were gaining land and power rapidly. It felt as though fate itself was guiding her. She remembers how difficult the job was. She had no experience as a maid. Every day felt like a test. Then she recalls the most frightening moment of her life. She was cleaning when a plate slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor. Panic flooded her instantly. It was Madame Isabel's favorite dish. A furious voice demanded to know if she had broken the prized dinnerware. Terrified, Melia apologized at once. Then she heard Luke apologizing to his mother. She looked up in shock. Luke nervously explained that he had asked the maid to show him the plate, and that he was the one who broke it. Madame Isabel responded calmly. She said it was fine and asked if he was hurt. Melia stood frozen. She could not understand why he would do that. Madame Isabel gently held Luke and told Melia that since Luke was still a child, she must be more careful. Melia quickly agreed and returned to clean. Stealing glances at Luke, Luke smiled warmly at her. Inside, he thought that he knew his mother would not be angry if she believed he was responsible. Melia was completely stunned. On that day, 3-year-old Master Luke quietly stole the heart of a 12-year-old girl. The scene shifts to the present. Luke and Melia knelt in the soil, planting seeds. Melia kept stealing shy glances at Luke. Her face was flushed, and Luke could not tell if she was focused on him or just trying not to drop the seeds. Either way, it was distracting. Suddenly, Luke panicked and pointed at the ground, noticing all the seeds had fallen. He told Melia that she had dropped everything, and this was not how planting worked. Startled, Melia hurriedly said she would replant them. Luke waved it off and told her it was fine. The seeds were already scattered anyway. Maybe this was some new farming technique, he thought. Experimental agriculture. The scene shifted. Luke bathed, water running over him as he reflected on the day. Even with 2 people, it had taken an entire day to finish everything. As he washed, he could not imagine how exhausting it would be to create a field from scratch. He felt tired just thinking about it. He also silently wondered if next time he could just grow vegetables in pots. After drying himself, Luke thought about safety. No beasts had appeared so far, but danger could come at any time. They needed proper defenses, walls, watchtowers, or maybe a sign that said, "Goblins not allowed." The next day, Luke built a watchtower. The day after, he built a plaster wall. A 3rd day passed in constant work. Luke's body ached, but he felt satisfied. Progress had... A few days later, Luke and Melia noticed the seeds had sprouted. Melia cried out in joy, pointing at the green shoots. Luke smiled at the sight and thought it was amazing. They finally had a source of food, and he felt a small thrill of pride. Suddenly, a loud screech tore through the air. Luke froze. His mind raced. Could it be a beast? Melia ran up the watchtower immediately. Luke anxiously asked her if she could see anything. Melia's voice returned, alarmed. She said a group of goblins was heading toward them. She observed closely and added that the goblins could not cross the wall. Her voice shook as she explained that the creatures were climbing over each other like very determined toddlers. Luke tensed. Only one option remained: fighting. He shouted for Melia to stay in the watchtower, warning her that it was dangerous below. Luke thought back to what he had been told all his life. People who fought with swords usually received a combat-related gift. He had spent years training in swordsmanship. Not for fun, not for show, but apparently in case a goblin invasion happened. He drew his sword, thinking that even without a gift, his training would be useful. A goblin lunged at him. Luke reacted instantly, slashing it down. The goblin was slow and clumsy. This was manageable. He struck again, cutting down another. He knew he had to act quickly. Hesitation could be fatal. Another goblin attacked from the side. Just as it lunged, a heavy blow crashed on its head, and the goblin collapsed. Luke froze, shocked. What had just happened? Footsteps approached. A familiar voice called his name, telling him it had been a long time since they had last met. Luke looked up in disbelief. Standing in front of him was Kellen, staring straight at him. Luke groaned inwardly. The goblins had been stressful enough, and now this. Iceblade Princess Kellen Bajrata. Luke remembered her clearly. Kellen, the Count's daughter, had the gift of dual wielding and ice magic. She could fight with 2 blades at once and manipulate water and ice like it was nothing. Honestly, she had always seemed a little scary to him. He thought about how she was older than him. She used to come to his house and play, and he remembered all the little habits and moments they had shared. Somehow, she had always seemed larger than life. Startled, Luke asked why she was here. Kellen said that the last time they had met was 2 years ago. They had both grown a lot since then, she added, and it was clear in her voice that she wasn't joking. Luke, still shaken, repeated the question, pressing her. Why had she come here? Kellen's expression hardened. She said she had run away from home. Luke panicked. Why, he thought, though he didn't speak it aloud. Kellen explained that the best way to describe it was severing ties with her home. The moment her engagement was changed to Raoul, she had broken it. Luke stood shocked, speechless. He never imagined she could feel so strongly about marriage. For Kellen, dying seemed better than marrying a man like Raoul. She said she would rather bow to death than remain bound to her home under those conditions. Luke quickly bowed his head toward Melia, apologizing silently for not noticing her presence. In his mind, he agreed. Melia was right. It was cruel for a girl to have her marriage decided like that. Kellen spoke again, clarifying. Luke was misunderstanding. It wasn't just about refusing Raoul. She simply wanted to marry someone she liked, and no one else. Luke felt flustered, unsure what to say. At that moment, Melia stepped forward firmly, interrupting. She told Kellen to refrain from private conversation. Kellen looked startled. She asked who Melia was. Melia replied that she was the first villager. Kellen froze. Melia explained that this was Master Luke's village, and that he was its head. Panic flickered in Kellen's eyes. She asked what this place really was. She admitted she had worried when she learned Luke had been sent here to develop land. She looked around, the mud wall, the watchtower, the well, and the crops, and asked if the two of them really had done all this themselves. Luke said it might be easier for her to understand if she saw how it was done. He opened his screen, and an option appeared before Kellen, asking whether he wanted to make her a villager. Luke immediately thought that there was no way he could let someone like Kellen stay in a place like this. Kellen noticed his reaction and looked surprised. Luke quickly changed the subject, asking if she was truly sure she was fine. He added silently that he doubted the House of Albert would remain quiet about the broken engagement. In his mind, he compared the House of Albert with Kellen's family. Count Basrata's military strength was far weaker. If the marriage happened out of fear, it could benefit both families, though mostly his own, since they had no shortage of military power. Kellen smiled faintly. She said the Alberts would never waste time on the Basratas. If the Basratas made more enemies, they would collapse entirely. Luke felt uneasy. He realized that Kellen's two combat-related gifts made her extremely valuable to her family. That thought left him deeply troubled. Kellen looks at Luke and calmly tells him that it's fine. There's really nothing to worry about. After all, she was supposed to marry him in the first place, so this situation is not as strange to her as it looks. She adds that her younger brother has received a powerful gift, which means her future husband will surely figure something out. Looking around and thinking about everything that has happened, she admits that she can stay here for a while. Honestly, it's not the worst place she's ended up in. Luke stares at her, clearly surprised, and asks if she seriously wants to live here. Kellen answers right away, saying yes, obviously. She has no desire to go back home, and more importantly, she has nowhere else to go. At that exact moment, a notification suddenly appears on the screen. Just like that, Kellen officially becomes a villager. Luke freezes. Panic hits him instantly, as he wonders how he managed to turn her into a villager when he literally not even a button press. Impressive in the worst way. A second later, his mood shifts. He notices his daily points have increased and reached 12, and that makes him feel relieved, for about 2 seconds. Then reality hits again. Even with her gift, they still don't have a proper house, and food is already a problem. His thoughts spiral fast. Trying to sound reasonable, he suggests that with her abilities, she could probably go and live somewhere much better than. Kellen looks at him and asks if her staying here would be a problem for him. Luke immediately backtracks, nervously explaining that he didn't mean it that way at all. Right then, the air changes. Kellen and Melia suddenly lock eyes, both clearly irritated. Luke notices it and completely panics. He has no idea why these two are staring at each other like that. As far as he knows, this is their first meet. So why does it feel like a battlefield? Kellen suddenly blurts out, clearly nervous, that she's at least a B cup. It's been a long time since she last checked, and she's pretty sure she's grown even more. She gestures with her hands to explain the difference, insisting that there's a noticeable change and that she's still growing. Melia bursts into laughter and casually says that hers were much bigger back then. The tone is light, but the damage is already done. Kellen reacts instantly, panicked and angry, and snaps back that she's just a late bloomer. Luke quietly decides that this is the perfect moment to mentally remove himself from the situation. If he could physically disappear, he would. The scene shifts. Melia is now hugging Luke tightly, holding him close. She apologizes and asks him to forgive her, explaining that the room is too small for everyone to lie down comfortably. Kellen, already annoyed, points out that the two of them have been sleeping together in such a cramped space. Milia pushes Kellen and asks if she has a problem with that. Kellen fires back without hesitation, saying yes, a very big problem. Milia pushes her again and tells her that no one forced her to come here. If she doesn't like it, she can always sleep outside. Kellen immediately shuts that down, saying absolutely not. That option is not happening. Luke feels his stress level rise and thinks that he really should have built another hut if he had known things would turn out like this. Then he remembers his points. He's already low after building the storehouse. With visible nervousness, he suggests that maybe he should just sleep in the storehouse instead. Both Selin and Melia react instantly, as if electricity runs through their bodies. Melia is the first to protest, saying no, absolutely not. He is the village head, Master Luke, and he can't sleep like that. Then Chelan smiles sweetly and adds that if someone really needs to sleep in the storehouse, it should be this girl instead. Melia panics and accuses her of implying that she wants to sleep with Master Luke, calling it a dirty thought. Kellen blushes hard and quickly denies it, telling her not to project her dirty and nasty ideas onto her. She then nervously asks, what kind of things are even going through Melia's mind? At this point, Luke gives up completely and announces that he's going to the storehouse. The scene shifts again. In the end, both Kellen and Melia are asleep, hugging Luke from both sides. While holding him, Kellen thinks that Master Luke smells really nice, just like always. As she drifts off, she admits to herself that all of them sleeping together is extremely embarrassing, but somehow it doesn't feel wrong. She wonders if she could get just a little closer to him. Luke, trapped between the two of them, suddenly wakes up in a panic and blurts out that he...
Here I am, know it's been a while.